Welcome, everybody, to Prop It Up. It is Friday. As we all know, Friday starts the weekend, and we are here to help make your weekend a profitable one as we go through all the best information, stats, and best bets you need to make a lot of money off of props. There's a lot of things going on this weekend. Let's start off with some fun stats in the NFL to get you started. Fun stat number one, the Jacksonville Jaguars through 5 weeks still have not made a field goal. It's almost impossible to think that Jacksonville is still over in kicking field goals. Fun stat number two, the Patriots' longest pass of the year is 32 yards. I bring that up because the Mac Jones longest completion prop is 36.5 yards, and they have not gotten over that yet. Fantasy football surprise. The Dallas Cowboys do not have any top 15 scoring wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper combined only have 6 touchdowns. And we have a bonus incredible stat from Dan, the producer of this show, great producer and host of WagerTalk show, Bet on Lacrosse. Dan, this is your stat. I don't want to take any credit for it. This is all yours. Tell us about the stat that you have based on last night's game.
Yeah, usually pay no mind to the guy behind the curtain, but appreciate you letting me hop on to share that in Tom Brady's last 11 primetime games, and people can argue, is Super Bowl a primetime game? It doesn't start at 8 o'clock, so the better way to say the streak would be 8 o'clock starts or later for Tom Brady, 0-11 against the spread in those games. I've been riding that one, and pretty fun one since I'm not really a big Brady guy either.
Apparently, the GOAT has a bedtime and needs to get to bed before that. Incredible stat, Dan. That was awesome. All right, I got to bring in my fellow prop masters. Matt is on an 8-4 MLB postseason run, 28-15 in football team totals. Nice work. Matt's birthday week for you. Thanks for being here. How's everything going?
Everything's going well. The Jacksonville Jaguars stat doesn't surprise me. We've got Urban Meyer, who admitted that he forgot about James Robinson the second half last week. I mean, that team's just a train wreck. So them not kicking a field goal, he probably forgot it was an option in the NFL.
And the funny thing is, that's not like we're laughing, but that could potentially be a real thing. He might have forgotten that a field goal exists.
Yes, and there are kicker props. We can probably take advantage of this. Andrew, I got to go to you. Nobody hotter in the MLB playoffs. 8-0 in MLB playoffs. First off, congratulations, and how is everything for you this morning?
Doing super excited that hockey's back. Because you guys know that's kind of what I live and breathe, love watching it, and that's kind of what I get a chance to be both a fan and handicapper with, and I like that. We're back on puck time every single day and breaking down these games, but I'm back in the prop world for NHL as well. Most of the time I was getting into the props late in the season, starting off early in the season with these props, Andy, and I'm going to touch on that in today's episode of Prop It Up. But 8-0 in the MLB playoffs, off another 5% winner last night on the under. And man, I don't like watching unders, guys. They're not fun. It's the same thing everybody says. They're not fun to watch, but they're fun when you're cashing tickets.
Yeah, congratulations on that run. Amazing. I'm Andy Lang, WagerTalk.com, #1 in NFL this season. It's been a really, really good start. So we're going to do a little bit different format for the show. So in the first segment, we have each picked one NFL game for this weekend, and we are going to attack it from a props standpoint. And then in the second segment, we're going to go through some props and some other sports, try and diversify ourselves and show you guys some other ways to make props. So Matt, I'm going to go to you first. You chose Kansas City and Washington. So tell us what you are looking at props-wise from this game.
Well, so there's 2 players that I'm going to focus on for this thing, and it's one that you figure we probably would focus on, and it's one player you probably wouldn't think we'd focus on. And it's funny because, obviously being in the Washington football footprint, we cover a lot about this team. I talk to beat reporters and things like that. And every week I keep sitting there and I'm like, all right, this defense is going to start waking up. They're going to start playing well, and they just never do. And the biggest problem with the Washington defense is that they have terrible miscommunications in the secondary, and people are running free and running wide open. Well, Here comes Patrick Mahomes, and here comes the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the one thing I'm watching here on Friday is when the Chiefs do their injury designations. We know Tyreek Hill has been hurt. We know Travis Kelce was a little bit banged up. He should still play. But I want to make sure these two guys are in. And the moment that I get confirmation, I'm going to over 2.5 passing touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes. This just screams one of those games where he's going to be waking up. He's going to throw 4 or 5 touchdowns. If there's even alternate lines, you could consider doing that. I think Patrick Mahomes goes crazy. The other thing to consider here is, as of right now, and it's Friday and the weather changes, there are some crosswinds that are potentially going to be in the stadium. That, to me, just means that Patrick Mahomes could throw some shorter touchdowns, maybe not the deep bomb to Tyreek Hill. 15-mile-per-hour winds potentially in the forecast. On the Washington side, I'm looking at a guy that's basically just replacing another guy. Ricky Seals-Jones had 5 receptions last week, had over 5 targets from Taylor Heineke. He played almost 100% of the snaps, which is what Logan Thomas did when he was in at tight end. And to me, when you look at his receptions prop and you see a 3.5 here, it's a guy that's never leaving the field. And if he's never leaving the field, he's constantly going to be running routes. Kansas City's pass rush isn't good enough that he's going to stay in and chip. So I think I'm looking at some Ricky Seals-Jones props as well, because he's taking over for Logan Thomas. Kansas City's pass defense is not very good, and clearly he doesn't leave the field. So Patrick Mahomes overpassing touchdowns, Ricky Seals-Jones props as well. We're going to watch the weather. We're going to watch the injury report, but those are the 2 things that I'm looking at in this game.
Great stuff. That is Matt Josephs from sportsmemo.com. And Matt, I got to say, in doing a bunch of my props research, Kansas City and Washington, the bottom 2 defenses in first half scoring. So expect these teams to get off to a really good start early in the game. And I absolutely love that Ricky Seals-Jones play. Great stuff. Andrew, I'm going to come to you. Marquee game. Obviously, going to be a lot of eyes on this one. We've got the Dallas Cowboys and the New England Patriots. Talk to me and the audience about what you expect prop-wise from this game.
Yeah, well, there's quite a few different ways you can approach this game. And, this was a game, actually, I was lucky enough to see my first ever NFL game a couple years ago. And I saw these games, and it was very underwhelming because there was poor weather. And I don't think we'll see that this time around. We'll see some excitement, I believe. And the funny thing is, you guys know that I love these QB props, looking at over for Dak, looking at over for Justin Herbert. But I didn't really touch on this show too much about, a team that surprised me with their quarterback props and somebody that was kind of, putting up some big numbers, at least pass attempt wise and pass completion wise. And that's Mac Jones, actually. Shockingly enough, I thought coming into the season, I think I might have mentioned this on the show with you guys. I thought they were going to be a run heavy team. Just a few short passes here and there, utilizing every running back they can. And this is a guy that's been, for the most part of the year, top 4 or 5 in pass attempts per game and rushing and pass completions per game. And looking at his for this game this weekend, it currently sits at 25.5 at -125. And the thing is, I know that the Patriots have, they started off kind of conservative and they have been, mixing in the running game, and they have been trying to settle in more with controlling the clock. And one thing you've really gotten me on, Andy, is looking at the possession. And they've done a lot better of job of maintaining possession. And the run game obviously helps with that. But in this game in particular, looking at what the Cowboys have done recently, they actually have been pretty impressive. And I expect a game that should see some points in this one. And the Patriots aren't going to be able to play that conservative style. They're going to have to retaliate and go up, drive for drive with them. So over 25.5 pass completions for Mac Jones is a play I have in my back pocket. I have locked in right now. And one thing I think is interesting about looking at over at Dak Prescott, he's somebody, guys, that was actually, for fantasy football standards and prop standards, he was not somebody that was really reaching his yards every week. During the success that they've had, he wasn't throwing bombs. He wasn't electrifying. He's been playing good football, but this is an opportunity, I'd say, for a buy low spot for him and looking at his yards. But I'm just going to take advantage of it and look at a CeeDee Lamb. I think that because of the, production as a group for this Dallas Cowboys team, we're getting a pretty decent number with him. So over 69.5 receiving yards is a play that I have locked in for CeeDee Lamb. I feel like he'll be a favorite. What I like about CeeDee is that he can turn a 5 to 10 yard pass into a lot. And he's not, this isn't one of those kind of props where I'm looking for a longest reception by any means. I'm looking at CeeDee Lamb that I expect to get heavily targeted in a back and forth contest. And I don't know. The Patriots have been kind of struggling to tackle, and I'm thinking that he'll break some tackles and explode for some yards for me. So those are two that I'm looking at right now: the Mac Jones prop and CeeDee Lamb over his receiving yards.
Yeah, and you got a real benefit going to in the Patriots passing game with all the injuries that they have in the running game. It looks like Brandon Bolden, next man up, and Brandon Bolden, he catches a lot of passes, so there could be a lot of dinking and dunking. So I'm with you on the New England side of the passing.
And Andy, it kind of works out that you mentioned that the Mac Jones longest completion off the start of the show. It just goes to show that this team isn't really like, they're not lobbing it out. And that's not what you need really to get these pass completion props. If anything, I'll take the lower number of yards, because that way it's just like, all right, here's a 5-yard pass, here's a 6-yard pass, here's a 10-yard. If you're a team that throws these 25-yard plays, you might not reach that number because a couple plays and you're in the red zone. Whereas the Patriots, their drives are going to last a long time.
Yeah, I've had success with Matthew Stafford under his completions just because they don't dink and dunk. They throw long. So they may have a 60 yards passing on a drive, but it may be two completions. So I'm with you. The game I've chosen is Arizona and Cleveland. I feel like I've had a very good read on both these teams. So hopefully it comes together in one profitable game here. Kyler Murray's rushing yards. Be careful with Kyler Murray. He's dealing with a little bit of a shoulder injury. He dealt with the same thing last year, shoulder injury. And what we saw is he does not run. He doesn't want to put himself in harm's way. It's smart for the team. So we might be looking at Kyler Murray under his rushing props. I'm also going to be looking at Chase Edmonds over his receiving props. Check the weather in this game. As of now, they're calling for a lot of wind. And as we know, that can change. But if it's windy, Chase Edmonds might be a really, really good option in the passing game for some short ones. As far as Cleveland, this is going to be another huge game for Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Arizona is a pretty decent pass defense, but they are a really bad rush defense. So expect them to hand the ball off a lot. Nick Chubb over, Kareem Hunt over. And I really am enjoying the Kareem Hunt touchdown props. You're getting a really good price because people don't view him as, a lead back, but the fact is he has more rushing touchdowns than Nick Chubb does this year. For whatever reason, they trust him inside the red zone, and he's getting touchdowns. So I would look at that. But kind of tread a little bit lightly on this one with the weather. Make sure we're looking at how windy it's going to be. If it's really windy, definitely we're looking at Baker Mayfield under his completions and pass attempts. If the weather goes pretty good, I might look at Baker over. But for this game, I'm going to wait until Sunday morning. I know that's normally not how we like to do things, but when weather is an issue, kind of wait up until kickoff and then jump on it. So, all right, let's talk about what we have going on for this weekend. Matt, happy birthday. Happy belated birthday. And I'm not trolling with this question. I have an actual question.
Here we go.
Right now, as a Philadelphia Eagle fan, would you rather have Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts, or Gardner Minshew under center?
I would rather have Gardner Minshew. I'd rather have anyone coaching instead of Nick Sirianni. I mean, I'd take either one of you two guys instead of Nick Sirianni. But, I mean, look, you can enjoy Carson Wentz. He had his rare good game against the Baltimore Ravens last week. So I know where you're going with this question, and it's not Jalen Hurts' fault. It's just I'd rather see some Gardner Minshew action at least. The backup quarterback's the most glamorous guy in the NFL, it feels like.
Can you agree with me, though, Matt, that the supporting cast makes everyone – go hard at Hurts, and it's just unfair? I know the quarterback is the quarterback and they're the big position. They're the guy that gets talked about. But can we all agree that the supporting cast around him is not helping him by any means? Like, he just gets crapped on every single week.
Well, it's the bad play calling. It's Jalen Reagor gets too many catches. Quez Watkins doesn't get enough catches. And Devonta Smith. I mean, what was pass interference last night? And this is not one of those shows. This is not my sports talk show. So, I'm not going to get into it. But, I mean, it's a bad system. And it's an RPO system without the actual R. It's just a PO system. And that's just not going to work in the NFL.
They're running the PO system. I will say Jalen Hurts had a lot of passes that went to assistant coaches standing on the sidelines on some of those out routes. And then I got to say, Matt, I really love the play calling where they would run Jalen Hurts right into 3 defenders for a loss of 2. Those are really good play calls against the best defense. As a Colts fan, I got to be honest with you, Matt, I'd rather see Gardner Minshew. I've seen enough from Carson Wentz. That sack he took the last week with no pocket presence whatsoever. We're inside the red zone. Just don't turn it over. I would rather see Gardner Minshew as well. Anyway, Matt, I know you got a really cool promo code for this week. Tell us what you got going on this weekend.
So, yeah, I turned 40 on Monday. I feel as old as I look, and we decided to make a promo code out of it. That's how things work. BDAY40, BDAY40 will get you 7 days of all access for just $40. Perfect time to get it would be for Saturday. And I would love you to join me tonight on Friday, but that's fine. Wait on Saturday. Get 2 college football Saturdays. You know I'm good for about 10, 11 plays. We've had some profitable Saturdays as of late, and then you get the Sunday NFL props. You'll get the baseball plays as they come along. And, of course, with the NBA coming, I dabbled in that stuff last year, and certainly we'll be doing that once again. So if you want to give me a shot and see what I got, 7 days for $40, BDAY40, BDAY40 is the promo code on sportsmemo.com.
It's Matt Josephs on sportsmemo.com. And honestly, Friday, I think, is the best day to get a 7-day pass from you because you're getting all of the weekend, and then you're also getting the games in MLB for K-Props as well as college football. So $40 for 7 days is a great deal. Andrew, talk to me. What do you got going on this weekend?
Yeah, I just want to say, Matt, you don't look a day over 38. So hope you had a great week. It was great seeing that promo code go to you. Hope it gets used. For this week, look, it's only until Sunday, or actually until Monday pretty much, because $9 Monday is obviously taking place. Every single NHL play is listed for $9. It's been great. I think it's a great idea for people to get an idea how all of us handicap, how all of us bet, get a chance to read our analysis, whether it's a big one or a little one, just to see how we're handicapping some of these games, if we're total players, prop wagers, sides, and things of that nature. So every single prop or every single play in the NHL, just $9 over at WagerTalk. That, of course, expires after $9 Monday is over. So check that out over at WagerTalk. And we're going to be in action again today. We're in action in the MLB, trying to keep this streak alive. No pressure, guys, but 8-0 so far. I hope to keep it going.
Yeah, great start from Andrew McInnis on WagerTalk.com. I am Andy Lang on WagerTalk.com. We have a week 6 NFL pack that is still up. You get all the props for Sunday and Monday. Primetime Sunday night football and Monday night football has been amazing for us. And if you want to get the rest of the NFL season, you can use the promo code NFL150. That's NFL150. Get you $150 off the rest of the year in NFL. Other than that, we'll have golf, NASCAR playoffs as well. We've been getting into UFC, doing well on a 6-1 run there. So I just would encourage everyone to get a 7-day pass. We have a lot of things going on, so just go get a 7-day pass to get everything. All right, let's get back into more props. This might be one of my favorite, like before we do the show, like everyone sends in what they want to talk about. And in the prop world, we have to narrow it down. This might be the most narrow category I've ever seen in the prop world. Matt, I'm going to go to you because you want to talk about college football service academy first quarter strategies. I will assure you that nobody is doing that this morning. So please, Matt, talk to me about college football service academy first quarter strategies, as well as MLB playoff K props. This is great.
All right, so we've talked about on the show in the past weeks, and you've expanded upon the first quarter unders in the NFL, and I've talked about how to attack the service academies. And for those who are not familiar, Navy, Army, and Air Force run a special kind of offense. They all three run the triple option. To some extent, there's some tweaks. Air Force runs some other things, but they run the triple option. And in theory, the triple option, we saw it last night. Navy went on a 10-minute drive and scored a touchdown. And so what I had been previously saying is Army and Air Force are first quarter unders. Army was off last week. Air Force They scored a touchdown. There were about 7 minutes left. There were some turnovers at midfield, which things got a little hairy, but Air Force scored a touchdown. It was a 7-0 quarter. The first quarter under hits because it was a 10 first quarter. And so basically what I decided was, I'm like, okay, good. Now let's take a look at Navy. Navy's offense has started to get better since their bye week. The offense has started to perk up a little bit, and they're certainly seeing some defenses who are not very good against the run. So I decided to start taking a look at the overs. Last week, it was tremendous because I think UCF scored 14 points, and I believe Navy scored 7. It went well over. And then last night, Memphis also fit the situation. Memphis went down. I think they scored in 2 plays. They went up 7-0. Navy went on a 20-play drive, which made things a little hairy because they scored with about 30 seconds left, and they tied it up, and it was 7-7. And then all of a sudden, Memphis scores on the next play, and it was 14-7, so it wasn't as hairy anyway. But so what I think of it, what you should start doing is, once again, we've got Army against Wisconsin, 2 teams that run the ball, 2 teams that aren't exactly looking to go fast. It's 9.5, so you don't get the protection of the field goal, but I still do like the first quarter under there. Air Force has Boise State. That could be a little bit tougher because Boise State's offense is so good, but I'm going to keep playing the trend, and it was 10.5, so therefore you do get the field goal protection. So I'm looking at Army and Air Force first quarter unders and Navy first quarter overs in the right situation, especially against offenses that we know could take advantage of Navy's terrible defense. So that's something to keep looking at with regards to that. And then you also mentioned the K-props, and I see a lot of people on Twitter complaining about their K-props. And look, everybody has to realize the MLB postseason is completely different. These starting pitchers are not lasting as long. There are certain starting pitchers that are. Logan Webb, the strikeout prop I had last night was 4.5. He went well over that because I knew that he was going to go 5 or 6 innings. You just have to be very careful when you look at these K-props. You look at Framber Valdez and you look at Chris Sale, 2 guys who have low numbers here, but they're low for a reason because both could get yanked if they're not efficient early. So to throw away everything you thought about during the regular season, starting pitchers are not lasting as long outside of the likes of Max Scherzer and things like that. You may be having to look at more unders in these K-props because these starting pitchers are getting yanked, especially with guys like Dusty Baker as the manager. So don't look at the regular season stats. Just remember, postseason, these pitchers are just not lasting as long.
Great stuff from Matt from sportsmemo.com. I love the Service Academy first quarter strategies. Those are so great. They're so under the radar. That's a beautiful thing about props. When you find something under the radar, you're not going to get pounded with a lot of public money or sharp money that's going to move the lines out of your favor. I love that market that you got there, Matt. Andrew, I'm going to go to you. It's NHL season. You and I share a special kind of love for NHL player props. Very, very early in the season, so I want to talk to you about NHL player props, but I do have one question real quick, and you can only spend 10, 15 seconds on this. Are the Coyotes going to be this bad all season long?
Yes. Yes.
That's
less than 10, 15 seconds right there for you. They are going to be horrible. Well, that's a good segue. That's a good segue for what I'm going to talk about. Just, Andy crushed it with some NHL props. Hats off to him for joining the hockey betting world last year. And we'll have him on Puck Time again. But I want to talk about just a few different styles of props that I look at. Of course, there's the anytime goal scorer props. There's the assist props and shots on goal, all that good stuff. Early in the season, though, you're going to have an idea of chemistry with lines, and you're going to have an idea on, who the main goal scorers are on teams. So I would recommend people to stay away from the long shot value guys actually early in the season, and then jump more into that when you start to see it slowly develop. What I mean by that is in hockey, there's line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4. A lot of times for these teams, the third and fourth line, they are the lines that aren't consistent. They're the lines that are always jumbled around, or new players get put on that line. A lot of the times those deeper lines in a team aren't the same as they were last year. Whereas line 1 and 2, those are the same. The chemistry is already there, and that benefits these guys at the start of the season. Whether you're looking at a shot prop or a goal prop or anything like that, you want to look at chemistry. Do these guys know each other? Are they familiar with each other? Never mind the team they're playing. Talk about the actual chemistry they have with their own teammates. And I think it's a really, really important thing, especially looking at a guy that got traded. He might be a big name, but he also might be playing with guys he's never played with before. And that can certainly be a thing. You guys have all discovered unique props. Andy, I know you've really, you dove right into the first quarter in the NFL this year. one that I want to get going on is the team props or goalie saves, because it's kind of like what I always say in the NFL, where you can make some money in some way, shape, or form on these bad teams. You can watch the Arizona Coyotes take the ice and just absolutely hope that their goalie gets peppered with shots all night long. And you're going to get a 31.5, 32.5, 33.5. And what's great about that is that, quite frankly, you could take the puck line with their opponent and they could only win that game 2-1. You have a losing wager. You could run into a hot goaltender. You could run into a team playing pretty well, but they're still allowing a bunch of shots from the outside. And that's what I really want to make people aware of, because you don't just have to look at the Maple Leafs or the Tampa Bay Lightning or the Vegas Golden Knights to catch these props. You can look at tonight, for example, the Minnesota Wild visiting the Anaheim Ducks. The Anaheim Ducks are literally nothing without their goaltenders. I'm sorry if I have any Anaheim fans watching this, maybe not, but they are nothing without their goaltenders. They have, some solid goaltenders. I feel bad for them that they're even on that team, but you're able to cash a lot of shots on goal props with them, a lot of team shots collectively with them. So looking at kind of fading some of these teams that, although they might still win some games, it's lopsided as far as the shots on goal. And I also just real quick wanted to mention about the individual players. And Andy singled out one player on the Canadiens last year for going under 2.5. You can look at that. You can find guys that are gonna get these higher numbers at 2.5 or even 3, and they're assist guys. Or they have they score a lot of goals, but they only get 1 or 2 shots to score a goal every single game. So that's kind of what I want to touch on today. Just open up some people's minds to NHL props and the great value there is with them. But the team shots on goal, as the betting world advances, DraftKings will have it, FanDuel, Pinnacle, BetOnline. A lot of websites will have this, and you can exploit these really bad teams.
Great stuff. And yeah, that's what I did in NHL player props, was just finding the streaks and finding the guys that are going on these monster runs on shots on goal, and they're going up against bad teams. Great stuff. I'm glad we're opening the market and opening people's eyes to this, because there's a lot of profits to be had in the NHL player props. We're going to get to best bets for the NFL. I want to talk about digging deep into sports books props, with more and more sports books opening up, and with the U.S. markets adding more and more. If you dig deep enough, and it doesn't even take that much time, you can find some absolutely incredible deep dives. I'll give a couple here. There's a NASCAR prop this weekend. We're down to the final 8 drivers in the playoffs. So you have the top 8 drivers driving the top 8 cars, and it's minus 235, which sounds like a lot. But the prop this weekend is, will any of the final 8 drivers win the race? And the answer is yes. Absolutely, they're going to. They've won all of the playoff races outside of the restrictor plate. That's a prop that is going to hit. It's minus 235, and that is an absolute incredible value on that. And all you have to do is dive a little bit deeper past the game lines and past the money lines. There is a professional fighting league prop, October 27th on ESPN. Kayla Harrison is like the be-all, end-all for female fighters in that league. She has won this tournament. They're doing a 6-month tournament. She's won all of her fights in this tournament in the first round, and they're going to put out a prop. Will her fight go over or under 1.5 rounds? She's going to beat her opponent in less than a round, and that is a prop that, when it comes available, I will absolutely be playing. And even in the big boxing fight, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, we were able to find a prop at the last second. Actually, Prez sent me a message before we did Wager Talk today and said, we have not done any boxing props. Can you find one? We found Deontay Wilder. Will he get knocked down at least once? It was minus 150, but all you have to do is look back at the previous 2 fights. And you say, yes, he's going to get knocked down. So that was an easy cash. And all you have to do is look deeper and deeper and deeper down into these sports books and find some of these props. There's some really soft lines that we can take advantage of. So don't be afraid to kind of scroll past the main props and the main game lines that the public is on and find something that suits your fancy in the sport that you love. So, all right, let's get to best bets. I'm going to start with Matt Josephs from sportsmemo.com. Matt, we're coming to you, and we are going to talk about a longest completion bet on somebody that is doing really well. What a great season. So, Matt, the floor is yours. What do you like this weekend? Matt, you're muted.
Go. There we go.
There we go. Start over.
We'll start over there. There we go. So there's two guys pretty much that are automatic for me when it comes to longest reception overs. Justin Jefferson seems to be always going over his, and he did so against this team last week, the Detroit Lions. And then there's Jamar Chase, and Jamar Chase's over is 26.5 yards. And the Lions entering last week against the Vikings had allowed 9 receptions of 27 yards or longer. And Jamar Chase is just an absolute beast when it comes to this stuff that Joe Burrow is looking for him. If Joe Burrow has time, he's going to throw it deep. This is an indoor game, so there's no sort of weather because it's in Detroit. And just simply, I'm just going to keep taking it. Jamar Chase over 26.5 yards for his longest reception against the Lions team that's starting essentially the 3 of us in the secondary. So we'll look at the over here and hope Jamar Chase catches another bomb from his best friend, Joe Burrow.
Love it. Great stuff from Matt Josephs at sportsmemo.com. Andrew, coming to you. You like another receiver and an over. Talk to me. What do you like this weekend?
Well, it's funny because, like I said, I've tried to find these unique props, and I took Davis Mills over his. He didn't do too well, and then the next week he actually went off. And I'm looking at another quarterback. Russell Wilson's down, so it's Geno time. Tyler Lockett over 57.5 receiving yards. There's a guy that had 10 targets last week, but didn't really have the best performance as far as catching the balls. And I do assume he'll go back there and get the exact same amount of targets, if not more. When you're a quarterback, making an appearance, you're not the number one guy. You want comfortability. And I always say that I'm looking for a receiver right away when I see a new quarterback behind center for a team that's going to be comfortable, find a favorite target early on, and hit them plenty of times. And I feel like Lockett will be that guy this week, and it's a pretty good number there. So Lockett for me over receiving yards.
I'm with you. Geno Smith looked pretty good, and it wouldn't surprise me if they've got some really good plays lined up for him. So I'm with you on that one. I am going to go to Jacksonville. James Robinson, I'm taking under 2.5 receptions. It helps that Urban Meyer forgets about him. So less work when the coach forgets about you is good. But really, Jacksonville has made the really obvious move to move Robinson into the primary rushing downs back. He just doesn't catch passes. The last 2 games, in each game, he has had 1 catch for -2 yards. The Jags are using Jamal Agnew as their receiving back. Last week, he had 6 catches for 41 yards against Tennessee. And with James Robinson, they've been doing well with him running the ball. They've been running that the read option with Trevor Lawrence, and that has just taken him out of the receiving game. A guy that has 1 catch each of the last 2 games, and now I get a 2.5 reception. I find it hard to believe he's going to get 3. I think this is a really good play to take under 2.5 receptions. So just a real quick bets recap. I'm going to be on James Robinson under 2.5 receptions. Andrew is going to be on Tyler Lockett over 57.5 receiving yards. Matt Josephs on Jamar Chase over 26.5 yards. Longest reception, guys. Great stuff. Setting up to be a beautiful weekend for us, for clients, and for the audience. So thank you guys so much for joining us. That is Andrew McInnis on WagerTalk.com. Thank you to Matt Josephs on SportsMemo.com. I am Andy Lang on WagerTalk.com. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to all of WagerTalk TV. Good luck. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week on Prop It Up.
Why pay regular price when you can save money on every purchase with WagerBucks at both WagerTalk and SportsMemo? WagerBucks are now eligible for use on not just daily, 3-day, and 7-day passes, but all long-term and seasonal packages up to 1 full year. There are tons of options available for every budget and size of bettor, from as low as $90 gets $100, all the way up to $3,500 gets you $5,000. Save every day on every pick you buy with WagerBucks.